Hello. Put another light on.
Hello, everyone. Okay, there are so many of us here. So, hello and welcome to Cambridge Primary Day. We are really glad to see you all still joining, and texting, chatting with us. And I'm really glad to say that we are now working with the new platform where you can see the chat and talk to each other as well. And I'm really satisfied to see that finally we can talk about weather all together. All over Ukraine, and that's a lot of fun. Yeah, so thank you all for asking at every webinar, where is the chat? Finally, here it is.
Okay. I didn't realize that they couldn't see the chat. I knew I couldn't, Tanya, but I didn't know that the participants couldn't.
Oh yeah, that's only me who could see the chat.
All right, you have the secret power.
Okay, so shall we start a little bit? Yeah, maybe. Well, I think people will be joining, and by the time I finish talking, they will all join and listen to the. To your presentation about building the ideal context and contents for primary English lessons. And what it is all about, the Cambridge Primary Day. We decided to call it so because most probably you all know that the Linguist Company, together with Cambridge University Press, who work over 10 years now, they worked together for a long time, and it was a successful collaboration all of this time. But 4 years ago, we started working on Quick Minds for Ukraine. We started our long way to adaptation of this course. And a little bit of history here. In 2017, we launched the first pilot project together with the teachers of the first grade who were piloting materials and new approaches to teaching in terms of new Ukrainian school reform. And we were supporting teachers with methodology, with teacher training, with Quick Minds for Ukraine materials. And this is how it all started. And in 2018, over 25% of Ukrainian teachers chose Quick Minds for Ukraine. We were absolutely excited about this fact, and we started working even more. We started analyzing all the needs, all the complaints, sometimes all the feedback we received in all the 4 years. And I can say, just going a little bit further in my presentation, I can say that finally we received so much feedback from you and so much material we analyzed that we finally created this wonderful adaptation, the best, I would say, the best one out of all the 4. But that's subjective, you know. And in 2019, what we did, we started creating loads of support materials specific for Ukrainian teachers. And also we launched the new Ukrainian school English platform for teachers. And later on, I will tell you about it. In 2020, we've done the most. We collected all the feedback. As I said before, we launched the COVID support video lessons campaign, and I can assume that most of you use these video lessons with your primary students. When we were all on the lockdown, we're sending those to YouTube links to parents and maybe having fun with them. Also, in 2020, we involved new Cambridge authors to work on new Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine edition. This is Anne Robinson. You can see her on my screen. She's on my left. This is Anne Robinson, and also we involved a huge team, and maybe you've seen the video that we created to show the team from the side of Cambridge University Press and the Linguist Company. And in this video, we were trying to tell everybody how we worked on it and why we keep working on this project, because it really means a lot to us, not only here in the Linguist Company, but also for Cambridge University Press, for the head of the language research department, Ben Knight, for Duncan Christler, who is our line manager in Cambridge University Press, for Anne Robinson, who created all the adaptations and had a lot of fun at the webinars with us, starting from 2018, was it, or 2019, when he first came to Ukraine? Oh, she disappeared.
November 2019, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
The conference was our first meeting.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So from that time, Anne Robinson fell in love with Ukrainian teachers and decided to do everything to help us here. Okay, so you can see it all in the video. And also Herbert Puchta, who was really excited about what's going on here with his book. And he loves Superminds, he loves Quick Minds, and it's visible that the book is made with love. So he was really excited to find out what we do here in Ukraine and how teachers work with these materials, how they learn, and how it's all developing. Okay, and what else we've done in 2020? We finally, I hope we finally met your needs in terms of more grammar and more reading. We created grammar worksheets and reading worksheets, which you can download for free from the Publishing Linguist website, which you can see on the top of your screen, most probably. And I will tell you a little bit about those later. So video lessons, you already are familiar with those. Quick notes, this is one more thing we're doing here in Ukraine for Quick Minds for Ukraine. Quick notes are short activities or some fun activities. This is something I do it myself. I look at the task, for example, a writing task, and I think, what could I do to make this task more interactive? Or what could I do to develop critical thinking with this task, or creativity, or if it's a writing activity, how can I make it more physical and make students move within this writing activity? So such short tips, I think of it, I put it on this Quick Note, and you can download Quick Notes for some specific activities in Pupils book and mostly in activity book. And lately we started creating lesson plans for reading sections in Quick Minds 3 and 4 for Ukraine, which you are able to find at the end of activity book. And what we also do, we write articles for teachers. The latest, the latest article is what's new about Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine, and you can learn more from there, together with all the useful links, for example, where and how to vote for the book, and where to find all the materials you need. Every month we have webinars, and I can see a lot of teachers here who visit these webinars every month. I'm glad to see you again. And what we also started this year is Buster tips and Zelda and Horrocks and Ty tips. That's what I do at the weekends. I have fun and think, if I were Buster and I need to and I don't need to give advice to teachers, what would they be interested in? And especially knowing your feedback on Quick Minds and your complaints, like students don't want to read, or students don't want to play some games. Going from this point, I'm trying to write short blog posts on our Facebook page, and you can find these Buster tips and Horrocks and Zelda and Ty tips. These are useless advice for teachers. And Cambridge Corner, this is something we do every autumn, and next autumn, hopefully, we will launch this campaign again. And Cambridge Corner is a live session on Facebook where you can ask questions and we answer those questions. Teachers say we'll listen. This is, I chose it as a motto for a year 2020. We were trying to listen to you very carefully. And especially when we were all sitting in the lockdown, there was nothing else to listen to but you. All the social media and everywhere, we were listening to you, and we were trying to meet your needs with the new pack of materials and new edition of Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine. You can see here another short campaign. This is Ben Knight. I was mentioning him. He is the one to create life competent, well, not to create, but to put together life competencies. And he's also really excited about what's going on in Ukraine with Quick Minds project. Yeah, I was mentioning free support, reading and grammar worksheets written by great author Paul Drury with wonderful sense of humor, with funny texts for reading and fun activities for grammar. So if you need more of grammar and more practice with your students online or offline, use those for free from the link you can see above at your webinar. And online platform, if you haven't passed your starting your 5 hours of professional development, please do, because 6,000 teachers already received their certificates by September 2020 with all the numbers and series which you need. And yeah, just to remind you, vote for Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine this year, and you will be lucky because this is our masterpiece. The voting process lasts from 18th January till 9th February. So you still have time to work on this together with your colleagues at your schools to choose the book you need. And to introduce the author of all the adaptations for Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine, here is a slide with the topic, building the ideal content and context for grade 4 English lessons. Anne Robinson, teacher, trainer, author of Fun Skills fun series for starters, movers, and flyers, exam booster advanced, and many interesting activities at her blog, which she owns for a long time. And I'm from time to time I'm going there to get some ideas for my webinars. Those are great activities. And our good friend Anne Robinson. And here I will give you the right to go to your.
I'm just going to I'm going to take over.
Yes,
I hope. Right. Okay, so let's open this. Hopefully it'll work. Right, new platform. So forgive me if not everything goes smoothly, but we hope it will. And I hope you can all hear me okay. While Tanya was speaking there, I was just looking at a map of Ukraine on my other computer, and just being amazed at how many people are here from all over your country. So great, from other countries actually, I think, but great to have you here wherever you're connecting from today. Okay, so as Tanya said, I've been involved in this adaptation of Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine. I didn't write all the content. I think Tanya's being over generous in her praise. I worked with Yevgenia, who was brilliant back in The Linguist. I don't think, unfortunately, she's connected today, but she was amazing. She was an amazing person to work with. Okay, so let's start. So welcome, and to start today's session, I'd like to tell you a story. Are you sitting comfortably? And can you hear me, very importantly? Yes. No sound, Alexandra, you say? Is that right? Yes, okay. I think it might be Alexandra's connection. Good, I'm getting lots of yeses. So let's start the story. So once upon a time, there was a course book called Quick Minds 4. You can tell from the number 4 that it was the 4th member of a 6-level family of English course books for primary. Now, the Quick Minds family had already brought happiness and learning to thousands of children around the world who were learning English. And its brothers and sisters, Quick Minds 1, Quick Minds 2, and Quick Minds 3, had already been adapted and helped Ukrainian school children learn English. And now it was the turn of Quick Minds 4 to continue that journey. But to be suitable for this stage of the journey, Quick Minds 4 needed a little adaptation and a little modification. And Quick Minds 4 got a Ukrainian cousin, Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine. So let's find out how this cousin was conceived and how it was born. So the original format and focus and level of Quick Minds 4 was examined. And there wasn't really any problem there. The format works and the way that the units worked. So we had a great basis to start with. But we had to compare Quick Minds 4 with the syllabus that you used in Ukraine. So we had to compare the official curriculum with the content of Quick Minds 4. And for example, sport was one of the topics on the syllabus for grade 4, but sport wasn't actually a unit or wasn't a topic in the original Quick Minds 4. So we had to add that topic to the book. In terms of grammar, adverbs of frequency weren't really covered in Quick Minds 4. So again, we incorporated new content to make sure that these two examples, sport and adverbs of frequency, were both included. Next, Quick Minds 4 was originally published for the first time in 2015. So we were revising this and adapting it in 2020, and there are quite a few very important developments in teaching and learning. So we wanted to incorporate some of those things into your edition. And very importantly, and Tanya's mentioned how much feedback many of you shared about levels 1, 2, and 3, and what you were missing perhaps, and what you would like to have in a course book. So that was also analysed, and we've tried to take that on board in this book for you, for Ukraine. Okay, so on this next slide, there are 16 activities or 16 features that a course book for primary could and probably should have. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about these. So look at the 16 features and which 4 are the most important for you as a teacher. If you had to put these in order of importance, what would be your top 4 things to have in a course book? I'm going to stop and look at the chat now. Okay, so perhaps instead of typing one thing into the chat box, can you type your 4 things and then press send? And we can maybe see, you know, your collection of 4 things. Yeah, so we've got vocabulary stories, grammar skills, vocabulary stories, acting. Okay, so yeah, so quite a variety. Not everybody agrees, nor should you agree, okay? We all have our favorite activities and perhaps ones that we consider more useful, more important. I'm going to change the question now and think about your students. So of these 16 things, which 3 things do you think your students enjoy most? Yes, I think my students would probably say games. Okay. Stories, yes. And our musically inclined students would probably choose music, wouldn't they, as well, and songs. Yeah, and I love projects personally. I think they're a great opportunity for students to put things into action and for us to see how much they've learned and if they can use the language. Okay, so it's always important to think about things from different perspectives. If we had more time, I'd also ask you which 2 things students' parents might choose for their children to do in your classes. Okay. So the good news is that Quick Minds 4 has all of these 16 things and more things. So hopefully, whatever your preferences are and whatever your students' preferences are, there should be something in Quick Minds for everyone. So, developments in teaching and learning, I mentioned. Okay, so one of the key developments, perhaps, it's older than 5 years that I mentioned, is the idea of sharing learning objectives with students. I remember when I was at school a long time ago, really, our teachers never really discussed with us or told us where we were heading, where they wanted to take us. Whereas nowadays, involving students in the learning process is very, very important. So one of the things that was added to the Quick Minds Ukraine edition was at the start of every unit, you clearly get highlighted in the pupils book, I will learn to, and it'll usually be the topic, so the vocabulary, the grammar, and very possibly the function or the social skills area. And then this idea of I can do, the growth mindset that is talked about very often these days. And I remembered that for my webinar last time, I made one of these I can do signs to hold up. So if you're teaching online, this is something that students could hold up to say, that they're happy with what they've been learning. They feel confident. Perhaps they could put it right up at the top if they're really, really happy, or maybe down at the bottom of the screen. Maybe, I'm still not certain about this. Okay. But even better, I think, is what we have at the bottom of the page there. And this is the slide I made. Okay, so again, students could show how happy they feel about their learning by using a slide like this. Okay, so these I can do pages at the back are for students to do the activities. Okay, so I can say and spell the words for these things. So these were the 8 new words that were presented at the beginning of the unit. I can answer these questions about my home. So using those words, we've got some questions about their own home themselves. And then the grammar focus for this unit is adverbs of frequency. So they can use those, and they can complete sentences about themselves and their family, about how often they do things. And then finally, they could point to or circle or show a piece of paper to show the color that shows how they feel about the unit and the language that they've studied. So this idea of sharing the learning process with students, giving them a sense of achievement, I can do these things. Okay, so here are the 8 pictures that you just saw on that I can do page. And I'm going to play a quick game with you, or a few quick games actually. So, and the idea is these activities you could do with any set of words, okay, that you've been studying with students. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions. Which is the longest word? Okay, I deliberately haven't put the words on the screen. You've just got the pictures, but think about the words in the picture. And by the way, picture 3 is not the microwave. It's the thing that's under the microwave, just in case. So which is the longest word of the words that I'm showing the pictures for. Can you type the longest word with the most letters into the chat box, please? All right, actually, Antonia, I think it's Antonia. Refrigerator, okay, I was thinking of the shorter word. Well, you're right, actually. Okay, but in fact, the students have learned a shorter word for refrigerator, which I think we use more in English these days, okay? So it's obviously refrigerator is a good answer, but yes, we normally call that a fridge, or at least I call it a fridge. We haven't got a dishwasher, although I agree, number 3 might look like a dishwasher. It's actually a cupboard. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Okay, these kind of things that are cropping up, it's brilliant because it's encouraging us to think about the words. It's encouraging critical thinking. Okay. So anyway, the original words that students would have learned, okay, the 2 longest words, there are 2, is the one for picture 1, which is bookcase. Yes, I've just seen that coming in. And the word for picture 3, which is cupboard. And they both have 8 letters. Okay, but I agree, if you're going to do your refrigerator, then that's definitely longer and more than 8 letters. Okay, question 2. Which words have 1 syllable? Yeah, so 1 syllable, like one. The number 7 has 2 syllables. So which words that you can see the pictures for here have 1 syllable? Right, again, we're getting some different words, which is great. We're getting bed, shelf, and fridge. Okay, so again, the original words that students have had in the unit were fridge and shelf. The word for picture 6 are the 2 soft things you can see on the bed where you put your head. Okay. Okay, but as I say, there's no problem. There's no right or wrong answer, and the fact that you're sharing these other words, if that happened in class, then hopefully students would be learning or certainly revising other words. Okay, so that's great. So words with 1 syllable with from the words they've learned are picture 2, shelf, and picture 4, fridge. Okay, question number 3. So in the words with 2 syllables, okay, which is picture 1, bookcase, picture 3, cupboard, picture 5, cushion, picture 6, pillows, picture 7, blanket, and picture 8, towel. So in the words with 2 syllables, which syllable is stressed? Is it the first syllable or the second syllable? Yes, it's the first syllable, isn't it? Okay, so that's an interesting thing for students to discover and to remember. Okay, remember that all of these words, when they've got 2 syllables, it's the first syllable that is stressed. And then, yes, you could get them to think of other words with 1 syllable and 2 syllable and see if they're the same. Do they have the same pronunciation pattern? Okay, other activities. Which words have double letters? You could go with these pictures, which are made of wood, which are made of material. What's a fridge made of? which ones would you find in the bedroom? Which would you find in the living room? Which would you find in the kitchen? Okay, so lots of classifying activities. And then continuing on our pronunciation and remembering the words, you can get them to say the words in reverse alphabetical order. So they would start with the nearest to the end of the alphabet, and then which would probably be towel, okay, and then come backwards towards A. You can get them to put them in order of the number of letters and say them again, the shortest to the longest, or the longest to the shortest. You can do some writing, write them as quickly as you can in alphabetical order. And then you can get them to think about, well, me, what for me? Which is the most difficult word to say? Yeah, so very often fridge. I don't know for Ukrainian students, but fridge, anything with lots of consonants together in English is quite difficult for students to say. So they may well say that fridge or shelf might be the most difficult one to say. And thinking about writing, which is the most difficult word to spell? Okay, and again, fridge would probably a very probable first place for being one of the most difficult words to spell, because it's got the DGE, or the cupboard, because we've got a silent letter there. Okay, so we're getting them to revise the words, but all of those activities are also getting them to think about the pronunciation, the spelling, and saying the words. Okay, so you've got that activity in your handouts. Okay, and I think apart from question 4, when we're talking about the materials, you can use those activities with any set of words. Okay, and here's you've got that in your handout. Okay, so let's move on now to the feedback that was received from Ukrainian teachers and how that was incorporated into this new edition. So there were 3 very important areas. Ukrainian teachers requested more grammar and reading worksheets. So as we saw from Tanya's presentation, more worksheets have been uploaded, not just for Quick Minds 4, but also for the other levels of Quick Minds. More reading texts have been added to the activity book, and some of the reading texts I think are very, very original and really enjoyable. And then more writing tasks to Quick Mind 4, and we'll have a look at a couple of those. So I'm going to show you this page very quickly. Okay, just don't try and read everything, just get a general impression of what you think is on that page. Okay, so I gave you a very quick look at that page. Which of the 16 features, activities, areas on the slide that you've seen before do you think will be worked on in that particular page? Yes, so Marina, vocabulary. Skills, and perhaps some phonics. Yeah, so definitely vocabulary. And yes, I think very important thinking skills we've got here. Okay, we're going to get them to think about okay. You're saying almost all? Yes, well, probably, okay, but I think very clearly we've got 3 particular areas I felt. Okay, so probably in the teacher's book, we'd do some checking or some pre-teaching of vocabulary. Okay, so they probably know tooth, but maybe they don't know toothbrush. We have looked at the word fridge in this unit, so you can see that that is in number 2 in section 1 there. Then we've got our tips, okay, and we've got some new, perhaps new words there. So perhaps they might know sugar, but they might not have come across sugary. I think they would know probably back teeth, okay, but there might be some new words there that we might have to teach them, okay. The first activity is going to think about critical thinking, logic, which is the best thing to do. And then obviously we try and get them to say why. Okay, so definitely, yes, there's some CLIL going on here as well, bringing other subjects, hygiene, social studies into the English classroom. Okay, and we've got some visuals and some pictures, okay. So the next activity, okay, and again, this is in your handouts, is I created some more sort of different questions about looking after your teeth, okay? And my idea here is for them to maybe think about and talk about things that perhaps they've never thought about before. So has anybody asked you the question, would you like to clean your teeth with chocolate toothpaste? Have you been asked that question before? Have you been asked, how many times a day do you smile? Perhaps it's something you could do tomorrow and just count the times that you smile. So what I do with this activity is, I've seen I've put a pair of scissors on the slide. So I'd cut up those questions. I'd give each student or in the class or each student in the group a different question. And I'd get them to find out the answers from their classmates. And then they could perhaps present their results to the rest of the class. They could draw a graph. They could do a pie chart. So again, we could continue this idea of connection with CLIL, with learning of other subjects. Okay. So again, you've got those questions in your handout. And at a guess, because I know the answer to this question, if you asked everybody in the world the first question, what color is your toothbrush? Which color do you think most people in the world would say? So what's the most popular color for toothbrushes in the whole world? Okay, interesting. We've only had one person type blue into the chat box. And in fact, blue is the most popular color in the world for toothbrushes. Perhaps in Ukraine, I'm seeing lots of white coming into the chat box. So perhaps in your country, more people use white toothbrushes. Okay, but they could compare what the world result is and what their classroom's result is. Again, most people probably use plastic toothbrushes, but certainly here in Spain, where I live, more and more people are trying to be more ecologically friendly, and we're starting to see bamboo toothbrushes, even in the normal supermarkets. Okay, so you've got those questions in your handouts, do a class survey, and then get students to present their results to the rest of the class. and perhaps find out what's the most common name for a dentist in the world. Does chocolate toothpaste exist? Okay, so apart from asking these questions, do a search to find out information to add to your results. So that's the first page of a two-page social studies feature for this unit. So what do you think will be on the next page? So we've done this, what's the best thing to do? We've read the tips. We've answered the questions about how often we clean our teeth and how often we go to the dentist. What do you think will come next? Okay, let's see if you were right. So on the next page, we're working towards a project. Okay, and somebody said reading. Okay, yes, it is a kind of reading. Okay, so on the next page, we've got a new kind of writing and showing information. It's a very common way of online finding information and displaying information. So I think it's a very useful thing for students to learn to do. So first of all, they read a very short definition of what an infographic is. Then we give them some tips as to how to go about creating an infographic themselves. So you need both pictures and text, images and graphics. You usually choose one topic, so you don't usually write about 3 topics in an infograph, normally one topic. Infographics use short sentences usually. They don't usually have long texts. You think about the layout, so where you're going to put things on your infographic. And very important too is you choose your colors. Which colors are you going to use? And if you're going to use several colors, how are you going to combine them? Are you going to use one color perhaps for the text and another one as a background? Okay, so all of these things are things we have to think about when you're creating an infographic. So we can't just expect students to know these things. Okay, so we're trying to include contemporary ways of showing and sharing information in Quick Minds 4. And we try to include contemporary forms of writing and always thinking about suitability, appropriacy. So back to our 16 areas. And now let's think about maybe areas we haven't seen yet. So perhaps I haven't really showed you examples of these areas from those 16. So let's just see where they are. So throughout the book, there is a story and the main characters are called the explorers, and they work on different values in each unit. And within the story, we have a focus on a particular sound area, very often related to spelling, that can cause problems because, for example, in English, we have lots of spellings that are not always pronounced in the same way. So here we've got a crowd is watching the clown. So we've got the ow sound. Show, from the window. So we've got the o and the ow of the spelling, same spelling. So we've got stories, phonics, and values appearing in this story that runs throughout the book. And then we've also got songs and chants. Okay, and we're going to see a song, a new song that was written for Quick Minds Ukraine 4, and hopefully we're going to be able to listen to it as well. So my question, as you read and listen to the song, is which grammar point is this song designed to practice and get students used to hearing? And let's see
Pupils
if we can
book.
play you the
Page
song.
6. 1. Listen and sing. Listen and sing.
The explorers, here they come. Lucy and Betty, adventure
No.
and fun. The explorers.
Whoops, we've got the wrong track here, Tanya. I'm sorry about that. We have got the wrong track uploaded. Oh dear. Okay. It wasn't the right track. Okay. I can sing it to you. Yeah, so it's Mrs. Glee, Mrs. Glee. She's always very busy. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. On Monday at 9, I put the clothes on the line. At Tuesday at 1, I rest with my son. On Wednesday at 4, I sometimes wash the floor. Okay, and I won't make you suffer anymore with my voice. Okay, so the grammar is, yeah, it's the present simple, but very importantly, we've had in this unit, we've had adverbs of frequency. Okay, so my next question for you, look at the song. Which times are there in the song? Thank you. The wrong track, but you love my singing. Thank you for the compliments about my singing. Very spontaneous singing. Okay, so we've got the present time, and which times, as in this time. Yeah, I'm getting my watch on the camera there. So what times are mentioned? What numbers are mentioned in the song? Yes, we've got days of the week. Yes, and Natalia, we've got 1, we've got 9, we've got 4, yeah, and we've got 10. Brilliant. And we've got 6. 2. Okay, so for a song, okay, we have to find, you have to have words on the second line that rhyme with each of these 5 numbers. Okay, so we've got 9. Which word rhymes with 9 in this song? Okay, line, she puts the clothes on the line. With 1, she rests with her son. With 4, she washes the floor. Okay, so this could be the next task for students to do, to find the rhyming words that rhyme with the numbers, with the times. And then I would take this one step further and give them numbers and times that aren't in that song and ask them to think of words that they know that rhyme with these numbers. So can you think of words that rhyme with 3, with the number 3? Yes, so we had Mrs. Glee, didn't we, in this song? Yes, free, tree. Okay, we're getting some 5s as well. Okay. So, what kind of display am I creating here? Do you think? What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm creating a mind map. Okay, so there's some of my suggestions for 3. Yeah, so if we're going to give students an example like here, and then we're going to ask them to add their own words to the other numbers, what tips would you give your students for creating mind maps? Yeah, so what tips would you give your students for creating a mind map? So in a mind map, for example, 3 is in a bubble, isn't it? It's in a circle, and 2 is in a circle, and 8 is in a circle. And what have I done with the words around 3? What have I done with them? I've drawn lines, haven't I, out from my number 3. And if you notice, I've used green lines to draw those lines, and I've written the words in green letters so that you can really clearly see that they're related to the sound and the word 3. Okay, so just like we saw with the infographic, if you're going to use something like a mind map or a pie chart or any visual representation, or even writing a text, make sure your students know the steps and the guidelines. They're not rules, okay, but the suggestions for creating a mind map. Okay, so you have a circle, you write your word in the middle, and then you draw your lines out, and then you write your words at the end of the lines, and ideally use the same color, and then it'll be the association with the words and the number in this case is much clearer. Three of the areas I haven't mentioned, you've got festivals in Quick Minds 4, and very soon we've got Valentine's Day coming up, so that's why I chose this page. And you can see that they've got a reading text about Valentine's Day. They're reading a poem, and then they've got 3 little projects that they could do to create a Valentine. I'd never heard of the dinosaur card, which I found quite interesting. I might make my husband a dinosaur card this year, you know. We've got acting out on the right there, and we've got reviews of the language, as well as, remember, the I Can Do page at the back for the unit. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I've tried to show you what's in the book, but I also really always believe in trying to share some practical ideas that hopefully you can use in your classroom. So please remember to vote in this competition, because it's important that your voice is heard in Ukraine for which course book you would like to use in the future. And I always believe we should always vote in any election, because if you don't, then your voice isn't heard and it doesn't count. I hope you like what we've created for Quit Minds 4, and I'll be interested to see the results. And the feedback, yeah, if you use it in the future, it would be great to see how it actually works in the classroom. I believe some teachers are actually using it at the moment. Is that right, Tanya? You want to come back on?